Hello, today I'll be doing an analysis of Liebestraum number 3 and how it demonstrates course materials from Theory 2. Some key features include the use of applied chords, such as 5 of 5, but there's also modal mixture and augmented sixth chords of 5. There are a few modulations within this piece, which divides it into 3 main sections, so I found them to be the A-flat major section, a B major section, and another A major section, and as for the A major section, it leads back into the A-flat major. Compared to more simple triads, this piece uses 7th chords much more frequently as well. Another notable feature would be the 2 fast cadenzas that are used to separate the 3 sections. So now we're going to get onto the first page and we're going to start the harmonic analysis. The music starts off with a 5 chord in A-flat major and then it moves to a 1 chord. After that, a series of 5 of 5s follow. Something that really stood out to me was the third line where we have a 5 and a 5 French 4-3 of an applied 5. Looking at it more in detail, the dominant 7th chord is on F, so the applied 5 of that will be starting on C, which is C, E, G, B flat. And so to get a French chord, we would have to lower the G, which gives us C, E, G flat, B flat. This relates to our learning in class because we've been learning about augmented sixths and how those chords follow 5. Here's the 5-4-3 and 5 French 4-3. After that is just a few more 5 chords and then modal mixture appears, so we have a minor 4 and a 2 half diminished 7 chord. Now I'll be playing the entire first page to show the applied 5s in the beginning, the augmented 6 chord, and also the modal mixture chords. Starting with 5, going to 1, applied 5, back to 1, French, Moving on to the second page, something notable about this is the use of equal subdivision of the octave. So here we are moving up by major thirds. This one doesn't really go in order, but if we do look at the 4 chords here, we have A minor going to C sharp, so that is a major third, and then we also have C going to E, which is also a major third. And I decided that this would be equal subdivision of the octave because if we look at the chords, they don't really go in order. So this was the best order that I could come up with, from A going to C going to E. Then there's a few more modal mixture chords and the first cadenza starts. Moving on to the third page, we're now in the B major section, and this section uses a lot of applied chords as well, mostly still 5, but there are also some German chords and some 2 half diminished applied chords. A notable part about this section is how B major is moving to C major using dominant 7th chords. Looking closer into the music at bar 8, for example, we have a good example of an applied chord, but this time it's not 5 of 5, it's diminished 7 of 5. So the first chord we have F sharp A C E flat, which is just a regular diminished 7, and this is in 6/5 inversion. The chord after, though, we have F sharp A flat C E flat, and this would be a 7 German 6/5 because we have a diminished third at the beginning, followed by a major third and then a minor third. Here's what that bar sounds like. This is one of the most dramatic pages of all. We have a lot of octaves in the right hand and the left hand, and something notable about this is how we are modulating with a major 3 and a 5 chord. Something interesting to me was that in the previous pages, most of the applied chords were applied of the chords right after it, but now on this page, some of the applied chords, they're not applied of the chords right after it, but rather they're applied of chords that might come a few chords after. A good example of this is bar 3, so we have 2 chords in this bar, one that starts on G sharp and one that starts on C sharp. The one on C sharp is easier to read because it's just a dominant 7th chord, so it's applied of F sharp. The one on G sharp is a little bit harder because if we were to build and stack the notes, we would get G sharp, B, D, F sharp, this creates a half diminished seventh chord. And so for half diminished seventh, we can only put it as 2 half diminished 7 or 7 half diminished 7. And none of that works in C sharp. So if we move to the F sharp chord, the G sharp would work really well because G sharp is 2 of F sharp. So in conclusion, this chord would be a 2 half diminished 4/3 in F sharp. On the fourth line, it goes back to A flat major, and it's just a series of fives, of fives, of fives. This again ties to this theory class because we've been learning a lot about applied chords, and not just 5. Applied chords can also be 7 applied or 2. Moving on to the next page, on the first line already, I see something else that we have already learned in class, which is dominant 7th chords, but also 13th and 9th chords. So a good example is the first bar. I know this is a 13 going to 12 because, first of all, if we do look at the soprano, the 13th is in the soprano voice, which is exactly what we want. And also, if we were to jot down and write down all the notes, we have E flat, G, B flat, D flat, F, and C. And putting it all together, it makes a 13th chord. And same thing with the 5, 9. If we were to label those notes together, we do find the F, which is a second on top of E flat. There is another cadenza, and this is the second and final cadenza, and this leads us to the new section, which is an A flat major. This ending A flat section is pretty similar to the beginning A flat section, but something new that we have also already learned in class that came up in this piece is the common tone diminished 7. So this can be seen in the third last bar, and it's sandwiched in between the 2 1 chords. Overall, this piece doesn't move around very much because it's mostly just 1 chords and or applied chords of 5, but I did enjoy analyzing it overall because it's one of my favorite romantic pieces. So thank you very much for listening and hope you enjoyed.